Oh yeah!
Hey, and welcome to another episode of Spear from the Past. Shout out to Matt Kearns who made the intro video that you saw there. And yeah, this should be a lot of fun. And we're going to be talking about a WCW pay per view you really don't want to play a drinking game for because they say the name of the pay per view. God knows how many times of that pay per view I did not. Yeah, yeah. It felt like that. I don't think it was quite that bad. But I've got Jacob Cameron here. Jacob, how's it going?
It's going very well, Malcolm. I love doing Spear from the Past with you. Last time I was here, I think we did NXT TakeOver Dallas, which that was a fun show to revisit. This is like the complete opposite in every fashion. There's like one match that I semi-liked, and the rest of this show is genuinely really awful. And it's not even the worst show WCW would do in 95. Halloween Havoc also happened this year.
Yeah, this is one of those ones that because I looked up a couple of views from it just to see what they were saying about it. Like there was one viewer said they said this is one of those pay-per-views that's so bad but entertaining because of how bad it is, and I kind of get why, but gonna get straight into it. I don't really have like much preamble this time around because I've had Jacob on before, so you've already heard his life story about wrestling and stuff like that. So we're going to kick this off with the first match, which was the Blacktop Billy, who you will know better as Smash from WWE. And he defeated Dustin Rhodes in a King of the Road match. This was and just from the fact, like I had met with Joe on the last episode, that's like, and when I mentioned that we were covering this one, like at the end of the show, was like he mentioned like that. Oh yeah, that's the pay per view that got Goldust and Smash fired, and because they were blading in this match, and which was against rules, but yet like for it to be this pay per view, which they kept on saying multiple times that it's uncensored, there is no rules. Which I find it very comically funny that was the case. But this was just one of those matches which was pretty dull. But basically, it was Dustin and Blacktop Bully just crawling over this truck and doing moves, and I don't even quite understand what the rules are. I think they had to get to press the horn at the end. Like I don't think they were even clear about what the rules were.
I think from what I understand, you had to get to the end of the truck and like blow a horn or something very stupid. This match is bad. And a trend across this entire show is that you got very capable wrestlers who are very good at their job. Dustin Rhodes is still wrestling today. This show came out in 95. That's coming up on 30 years.
Yeah.
So Dustin Rhodes is still wrestling and still very good at what he does. Not even he could save this. And this is just, like I said, a trend throughout the whole show. Very capable wrestlers who know what they're doing being hamstrung by just terrible ideas. And I don't want to get ahead of myself, but this is just a genuinely terrible idea. There's a reason why they have never brought this back.
Yeah, and probably a reason why they've never put this match in the WWE video game either as well. It's
like you were saying, at least we got Goldust out of it because this is the match that got Dustin Rhodes fired. And then Goldust premieres at the very end of this year in 95 at the In Your House show, which I'm forgetting off the top of my head, but it was at an In Your House show against Marty Jannetty.
Yeah, and like not so much about this wrestling, but like this match was really poorly edited as well. Obviously, they were trying to edit around like not showing blood and all that. Once again, it's called Uncensored. It's ridiculous that they were just trying to cover the first place.
This show is what happens when someone at Turner stumbles upon a tape of an ECW house show, and they're like, "I've got an idea."
But yeah, I think there was a point of the match where they went past a some kind of cell tower where they lost reception or something. It was like they meant to mention this, like, oh, you've got lost reception. It's like it was just really ridiculous. Like there really is nothing much more I can say about this level. Like, anything else you want to add before we move on?
Yeah, nothing else I can say. This is just supremely bad.
Yeah. And actually, well, one thing I'll mention is like it comes up quite once again. This comes up quite a lot too. Like at the start of the show, because we had the whole opening with Bobby Heenan and Tony Schiavone, Schiavone, not Schiavone, that's his name to be honest. But they were talking about the running down the card and they mentioned that Jimmy Hart was missing, but they had the way they mentioned like, oh yeah, he's missing. Like, it's normal. Like nothing.
It's only the manager to the world champion. No big deal. And trust me, folks, that comes back in a hilarious way. But we'll get to that.
Yeah. But after this match, we go to a backstage segment with me and Colonel Robert Parker and Anderson talking about their matches, and then talking about Blacktop Bully, who I think was also in this faction at well, obviously not after this, but but they're all connected with Colonel Robert Parker. They were just like with a lot of these backstage segments with the news, there really is nothing much to add about these. Like they were just some talking about how they're going to beat the other person that they're fighting. But like anything you want to add about these backstage segments?
I mean, yeah, nothing really for me to add. I will say, and we'll get to the Nasty Boys and Harlem Heat match. Harlem Heat had a good promo on this show. And really, that's like one of the pros that I have for this show. Like, at least Harlem Heat had a good promo, which is just state of this show.
But yeah, moving on, we had Ming, but more commonly known as Haku from WWE, defeating Hacksaw Jim Duggan in a martial arts match. Jacob, what do you thoughts about this match?
Martial arts match, you see. I want to point out a couple of things. Number one, the referee for this match was Sonny Ono, and this was the Sonny Ono that would go on to manage Ernest the Cat Miller, among other people. Like, he would be around for quite a bit. So, and this was like, I think his first appearance or one of his first. Shout out to Tom Green from WCW Deep Cuts for pointing that one out. But Meng, by all accounts, is a very nice man, despite the fact he could do serious harm to you if you crossed him. And Jim Duggan, by all accounts, is a very nice man. This match was awful. It's a martial arts match in like name only. Like, what kind of martial arts exactly were they trying to go for? I refuse to guess. The last thing I think of when it comes to Jim Duggan is martial artist. But yeah, this thing was just terrible.
Yeah, and this was like they spent a good portion of this match just trying to get Jim Duggan to bow to Ming. It's like it's like
they recite the plot line from Harley Race and JYD at WrestleMania 3. It's the whole loser must bow match, but they do it before.
Yeah. But yeah, like pretty much said everything that I had in my notes. Like it was basically a no disqualification match. Like and like martial arts was like not existence. Like and yeah because I was watching, it was like it's supposed to be a martial arts match. Where is this martial arts? It's like, and you'd think, and it's like, yeah, but yeah, it's one of I will say the fact that they called this martial arts match is not the most ridiculous thing that had happened in this pay-per-view.
No.
We'll get to that. But then we had like backstage segment Johnny Bad talking about his match, which was standard. Then we had Arn Anderson promo. And then the next match we had was Johnny B. Bad, who you will probably more commonly known as Mark Mero, defeating Arn Anderson in a box. I think they announced this as just a boxing match, but it well, on Wikipedia they called it a boxer match, but they announced it's a boxer versus wrestler match. But once
Yeah,
again, this was,
way too many rules for this. Like Arn could like pin Johnny, and then like Johnny could like knock out Arn if he wanted to. It was way too much. Like honestly, I don't want to like jump on anything you might have said, but Arn Anderson and Johnny B. Bad had an actually pretty good match at Starrcade '94 couple months before this in a normal match. If you could just have them in a normal match, it would have been fine. Johnny B. Bad was good. Mark Mero was good. Arn Anderson, he was very good. So you can't go wrong here until you start screwing with things and adding gimmicks that just didn't need to be there. And this is not the first time WCW did the whole Johnny B. Bad was a former boxer thing. They did something very similar a few times over, which I won't get into here. But yeah, this was just weird and confusing, and I just felt bad for both of these guys.
yeah, this is one of those weird ones where I think I was talking to Austin about this pay-per-view after tournament fights last week. It was like the fact that like they set up this match like as a 10 round boxing match with 3-minute rounds with minute intervals, which for the most part they attacked each other during those intervals anyway. So what's the point of the rest intervals? Um, but yeah, like I mean, I will say, like, for what it was, I surprisingly enjoyed the match. It's like I thought it was fun. I would have preferred a proper match though, but yeah, I had fun with the match. And yeah, uh, that's that. I don't think there's anything more to add about this match. Anything you want to add, Jacob?
No, not really. Let's get into, I want to say, the most infuriating part of this whole show, but there's a lot more to come. So let's get into this.
Yeah. Before that, it's out of the promo with Mike Tenay talking to Randy Savage, which which was a fun promo in the thing. Was like, and this is one I'll talk about a bit because is you've got quotable lines like Randy Savage saying like, "I'm going to explode in Avalanche's face," and, and
I remember hearing that, and I'm just like, lines that aged well for 500,
yeah,
Alex.
what it is what it is. It's just like,
Just a few seconds of forethought. That's all you need.
yeah, but yeah, I mean, and it's one of those ones like, but like Randy Savage, is one of those ones like his promos would get better in WWE, but like but he's one of those ones like even if it's a really bad promo, like it has quotable lines like. But,
I love how on a random Thunder he was feuding with Roddy Piper and like, you call yourself an icon? I don't even know what that word means. Is that a bird? Like, I love that line. And then at Halloween Havoc, he told Mean Gene that his mustache was crooked, and Mean Gene's response was your beard's a little sideways too. I'm like, 10 out of 10 comeback on that one.
yeah, but moving on into the actual match, Randy Savage defeating Avalanche, who you'll know more commonly as Earthquake. For those that don't may not know, which I find it weird that like of all his name, like both his names like a natural disaster, but he becomes part of a tag team called Natural Disasters, doesn't he, as well? At one point, or was that someone else?
That was in the WWF before all of this.
Yeah,
that was Earthquake and Typhoon. He was a part of, I believe, the Three Faces of Fear. This was Sullivan, him, and the Butcher slash Ed Leslie.
yeah, but yeah. So like the match was somewhat decent. Like it was somewhat decent, but
It was good until the ending.
yeah, until Ric Flair came out and dragged and caused a disqualification
In a
in a
no
pay-per-view,
rule
which
match.
was yeah. um, I mean, I think it's just about as ridiculous as I'm pretty sure there's a WWE event where they had a disqualification like a Hell in a Cell or something like that.
No,
Um,
we can have a conversation of which one is worse, but this was just infuriating to me. I was just sitting there thinking to myself, y'all, it's not that complicated. You just have Randy Savage and John Tenta have a fun no DQ match and just like have Ric Flair attack Savage after the match is over. That's all you needed to do.
yeah, because I mean, it's one of those ones um, like even the poster on the pay per view, like it basically said this pay per view was supposed to have no rules anyway. So it was like it wouldn't have mattered if Ric Flair attack like interfered like middle of match or post match afterwards. It's like the DQ shouldn't have happened at all, but it happened and it kind of sold this match a little bit because it was a very fun match and like they had really good spots as well, but yeah, it was just tainted by the DQ ending. And
Yeah,
why Rick
it's a
and why
good
Rick
match.
Flair, yeah,
It's a good match marred by a very bad ending.
yeah, and this must be an era where they decided afterwards like, you know, well, we'll have people come out as masked men, like we'll have Ric Flair come in and drag because why not?
Don't want to kill that gimmick before it's time.
Yeah, and we'll get into masked men later anyway. But
Oh yeah,
anyway,
we'll get to that.
but then we had like the backstage interview of Harlem Heat, which was pretty good. And then we had a backstage interview of Sting, talking about the his match where like Sting seemed to be really hyped up, um, and I think this might have been the first time actually seeing Sting in this whole surfer gimmick before he kind of becomes the like Crow inspired thing. But then leading into the match, we had Big Bubba Rogers, aka the Big Boss Man, defeating Sting. Look, for a Sting match, this match seemed to be really boring. like it was like I mean, it, not to say like it wasn't good. It just seemed to drag. Like there just didn't really seem to be much happening in this match at all. But Jacob, what did you think of Big Bubba Rogers defeating Sting?
I have to slightly disagree. This was my favorite match on this whole show because it was simple. It was to the point. I mean, Sting's one of my favorites, so please understand that I'm slightly biased. But Sting was great. There was a story built around Sting's leg and how it got hurt early on, and Bubba just pretty much worked that. The ending was kind of you could hear the crowd kind of deflate like when the pinfall happened, but I
Yeah.
mean, I can't necessarily blame him. I mean, it was supposed to be a disappointing end, but this one didn't make me angry. I walked out of it like that wasn't terrible. And
Yeah.
I don't know if you caught Sting's like face paint and his look for this one. I love this look, like the white with the red. I personally, I'd never looked at that design before, and I don't think he ever did it again. I think it's a really cool one.
Yeah. And look, it's one of those one. Look, even though I did think like the match was boring, it's still probably um slightly my favorite match on this card anyway. All the other matches that we had, but then we had the backstage interview with the Nasty Boys where they did their stick, and um, and then it leads into the match of the Nasty Boys defeating Harlem Heat in a Falls Count Anywhere match. I did write it down, but was this for the tag titles or was it just like a tag match?
Honestly, this whole match was just so incredible. It's so incredibly confusing. First of all, it starts out like the bell rings and Harlem Heat, Pearl Harbor's Nasty Boys. Okay, fine, all well and good. I think there's like one wrestling move in the entire thing. It's like a spike pile driver, like in the ring, and then it just goes into the crowd, and then they start brawling in the concession area. And this one just scared me to death because I swear, like, Stevie Ray slipped on a couple of occasions. Knobs slipped a couple of occasions. Poor Stevie Ray, he got covered in mustard. Like, not just like a little bit of mustard. He just got slathered in mustard. I dare you all to look up a photo of it afterwards because and I just was like, oh God, these poor guys are slipping because they're just like they're slipping on lemonade and like Heenan's like they're fighting by the red hots. I'm like, yes, they are, and they're nearly dying. and then what's the most infuriating part of it is that we don't even see the pinfall. The bell rings and Shivani's like, do we have a winner? Do we have a winner? I think. And then all of a sudden Gary Michael Capetta's like, and your winners, the Nasty Boys. I'm like, in what world? In what world? We don't even see it. So your guess is as good as mine.
Yeah, and yeah, like, and I will say, like, that concession area, it looked like it was an obviously fake area too.
Oh, it had to be. It had to be.
Yeah.
And let me just say, I am a fan of Harlem Heat. I thought they were a great team. Nasty Boys, I can take or leave, though they had a match with Max Payne and Cactus Jack at Spring Stampede 94. That was fantastic. I recommend everyone check it out. So both of these teams are very capable. Only thing is that you can just tell there's like, we're just vamping. We just need to like, we just need to make stuff up as we go along. And you can just almost sense the desperation almost.
Yeah, and it's one of those ones. Because I think like after they do show the shot of the pin like in the whole bit like replay thing, and it did look like Booker kind of kicked out as well. So it was like, but it was just one of those ones where like the match itself wasn't that good, but it was weirdly an enjoyable match at the same time. Like, but yeah, but like, it's also one of those ones because when they completely demolished that concession, like there was barely much room to kind of walk safely. Like as Jacob, as you said, Jacob, like people were slipping and sliding all over the place. Like,
yeah,
but
and I just felt sorry for everyone involved because it devolved into like, let's just throw stuff at people. And it's like they got hit with a tray and like Sister Sherry, bless her soul, like she tried to make it somewhat worthwhile. She was like choking out sags with like her belt or something. And I'm like, okay, that was suitable for like a Texas tornado match, I guess. But it started off sloppy and then it just devolved into just a bleh, like just with no real cohesion to it.
yeah, and the whole missing the pinfall thing, like it reminds me of a WCW pay-per-view I talked about. I think it was with Austin. We talked about earlier where it was Sting versus at least one of the Steiner brothers. And and where they have the whole segment at the back where Sting gets mauled by dogs.
Yeah,
and
that's
like,
great
and then
American.
they come out like, and it's like they came out like, trust me, bro. We won. Just but but yeah, we had a backstage interview with Big Van Vader. The fear is here. And then we have a like backstage promo from Hulk Hogan, like where he does his usual Hulk Hogan stuff, like, and keeps hyping up this ultimate surprise. And from one of the views I did read, apparently they'd spoiled the surprise at one point by keep talking about this guy called the Renegade, which we'll get to.
Oh yeah.
But then we have Hulk Hogan versus Big Van Vader, and then like so that they fight, and then at one point in this match, the Renegade comes out, which is totally not an Ultimate Warrior knockoff guy. It does a very similar entrance theme and look, but comes out and attacks Ric Flair and Vader and all that. And And this was supposed to be a strap match between Vader and Hulk Hogan. But they ended up being detached from the straps at one point. But Hulk strapped himself to Ric Flair and touched all corners for the win. How Ric Flair wasn't the competitor in the match. How was that able to?
You know, first of all, I want to say a couple things. Number one, bless Big Van Vader. Like he was rewarded for making WCW somewhat worthwhile in 92 and 93 by basically being sacrificed like to make Hulk Hogan look really strong. So bless him, he tried. And then shout out to Richard Wilson, who played the Renegade. Sadly, he's no longer with us. And I've never really been one to make fun of the Renegade. There's a lot of ammunition to fire there, but he was just, by all accounts, he was just doing his job. So I don't want to make fun of him too terribly much, because he was given a thankless job and he did the best he could. And from all accounts, he was a nice guy. So I don't want to be too harsh, but just seeing Ric Flair like bump around for the Renegade, I'm just sitting there like, you know what, Flair, bless you. You are so good at your job. You're almost making it worth it. I stress almost.
Yeah. But then there really, and we'll get to the post-match stuff in a minute, but there really isn't much more to say about this match. It's just one of those ones where it's just like a ridiculous like way to finish it.
There's two masked men. There's one,
yeah,
it's revealed to be Arn Anderson, and then there's another one that's Macho Man Randy Savage. Arn Anderson, as the masked man, comes out, attacks Hogan, runs away. Then another masked man comes out and attacks Vader, and then reveals that Jimmy Hart was like tied up in the back at the start of the show, and then Arn Anderson starts out and is tied in the back of the show. So many people tied up on this show.
Yeah. It was. I think Jimmy Hart does. Like, if I remember rightly, I think Jimmy Hart does end up coming out in this match. Eventually, as well. But yeah, but it's one of those. I will say it was funny, like especially after the match where the masked man returns, and there's like then it kind of shots to the entrance over. You see Arn Anderson walking out, like tied up and kind of in his t-shirt thing, and like it's like but yeah, it's just one of those runs where it was a mess, but it's one of those ones like I've had this discussion. I've had this discussion many times when we've had a strap match. Like, I've never really liked the whole strap match gimmick anyway. It's like it's just one of those ones like it's in a way it's barely a wrestling match in itself. Well, yeah, like if you can make it, because like from this year we had Drew and Punk in a match where they still wrestled each other and managed to make a strap match look fun. But it's just one of those ones like you've just got to get to eat all four corners and that's it. Yeah.
I mean, honestly, like one of the best strap matches I've ever seen didn't even involve a strap. It was Cody versus Brody Lee in AEW, and that wasn't even a strap match. It was a chain match. I know it's not the same thing, but it's like there's a way that you can do something like this. I think CM Punk and Umaga had a good version of this, but it's a weird stipulation to be like, I want to beat you up so bad, and then instead of pinning you, I want to touch four corners.
Yeah.
Okay. So,
Um.
like, I'll be honest, like when The Rock and Triple H had a strap match, I believe in '99, where it ended in pinfall, I'm like, thank you. Like, it was like finally they understood it. It's like, okay, so like have it end in pinfall. Good. Like,
Yeah.
that's an improvement.
Yeah, and it's one of those ones like and with this last match in specific, I don't think the reveal of like Randy Savage being the masked man that was helping like Hulk I think he was helping Vader and Flair. I can't remember which side he was on, but I don't think it was really earned. Like, well, yeah, we had Ric Flair interfering in his match earlier in the night, but I don't think like Randy Savage coming out to help was really earned, because I don't think they really set it up that well either.
No, they didn't. It's just because he's Hulk Hogan's friend, you see, and that's
Yeah.
literally it.
Um, but that is the pay per view, and now for probably what is going to be a really hard job for both of us. But Jacob, if you could go back in time and change one thing about this pay per view, what would you change?
Really just one thing. I'll be nice. I will be nice. Like have the no rules match with Savage and Avalanche actually have a finish. Like that would be like problem number 1 solved right there.
Yeah, and I'm probably going to cover the other one. Was like, have a no disqualification match for Ming versus Jim Duggan, and not a martial arts match with no martial arts.
Like I'm pretty sure like this was around the time where Jim Duggan was like going through his family tree, and he was like finding out that he was like Irish or something, or I could be way off
Yeah.
the mark on that, but like have like a Belfast brawl or something like that.
But but um but Jacob, what are your thoughts about this pay per view, and what would you rate it out of 5 stars?
Uh yeah, infamously 1995 for all wrestling was pretty bad. So you got to understand that, but even amongst a really bad year, this was still just an awful show. Like I don't know, can I go half stars? Cuz I'd give it like
Yeah,
I'd give it 0.5, and that 0.5 going to Harlem Heat and Harlem Heat alone.
yeah, yeah, yeah. For me, like this pay per view was just bad, but I was at least entertained enough by some of these matches, by especially by how ridiculous they were. I've probably been a little bit slightly nicer to it, but not by much. I've gone 1.5 stars out of 5, like um, which is because I had more fun with it once I find my rank rankings. Um, which I had more fun with WCW Uncensored than I did with the first one I did, which was the Great American Bash from '99. So I was half a star more entertained by this one than that one.
Yeah, cuz
Um,
like everyone talks about how bad a year they had in 2000 and it was awful, but everyone kind of underrates how bad 99 was. Like after Spring Stampede, everything just like went straight into a mountainside. Like, and
but
I'm watching wrestling bios as reliving the war, so I'm pretty up to date on what was going on in that time, and it was just desperate times.
um, but with that, it's time to spin the wheel to see what the next pay per view I'm going to cover is. Spinning away, and it is going to be WCW Super Bowl from '95.
Oh, let me. I need to see what this is because I'm fairly certain I know what show this is. This is 1 month prior, and results. Oh, this is what this is. This is the Renegades debut.
Um, I always like looking at but so yeah, should be real somewhat interesting. Uh, a lot of names I don't think I really recognize either. Like at least not from the top. But yeah, it's going to be fun to sort of see where we go, because a lot of the same wrestlers are we're going to be seeing again here. We've got Hogan and Vader again. We've got the Sting, Savage, Avalanche, and Barbara Rogers. An actual match between Blacktop Bully and Dustin Rhodes. So it should be interesting to see how this one fares. But we'll be back next time with WCW Super Bowl. Jacob, where can people find you online?
At RyanCam20. By the time this is airing, it's October 29th, which means Scary Mania 5 is almost over. I've done daily uploads of horror movies, horror movie reviews. Today I did Psycho 98, the Gus Van Sant remake with Russell from Notorious by Chance. Tomorrow is going to be The Last Broadcast, the found footage film 6 months before the Blair Witch Project. And I'm going to be closing everything out with David Cronenberg's Existenz, which is a severely underrated film from his filmography. And Aaron J. from Why We Love Horror is going to be joining me to review that, and it was a great discussion. And the 1999 project is ongoing. That's new episode dropping Friday. I'm reviewing Being John Malkovich and Princess Mononoke and a couple of others. After last week where I had to review 8 movies because like 8 released around the same weekend in October of 99, having to only cover 4 in one episode was a welcome change of pace. But November, December going to be a bit of cooling down for me for content, but I'm still going to be uploading Small Talk, 99 Project. I've got a couple fun ideas in the works, and then 2025 is just going to be even bigger for me. So stay tuned for all of that. Check me out. And also I'm on Spear from the Past whenever Malcolm invites me on, which if I can find the time, I will absolutely be on. And I'm also on Movie Hero Network and Why We Love Horror Trivia League and a bunch of other places. So if you follow something in the movie space, I'm usually there.
And you can follow me on Take Productions as host Rankin every week. Next week we're doing top 12 movies that have won the SAG Award for Best Ensemble. Should be really interesting. You can also find me popping up on tournament fights here and there. And I also do be in We're doing WCW Super Bowl 5 next week. And yeah, but until next time, protect our truth at all costs.